it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts, UK Stampin' Up! Independent demonstrator. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today I have got another of my OnStage goodies for my housemates, for pillow gifts, just because gifts, and they are little packs of latte. So these happen to be almond flavoured latte, and of course it now won't go fully back in, there we go. So I thought I would show you how to make these as well. They're very easy, very simple. This is not an original project. It's pretty much everywhere and it's used for all sorts of different things. But as I say, I'm using the Nescafe Almond Latte, which I am told, according to the packet, is a seasonal edition. So I'm using a slightly odd combination of products. I'm using some of the Garden Impressions 6x6 Designer Series paper because I need 6x6 paper, so why wouldn't I? And I'm also using, of course, the Coffee Cafe. So yeah, very easy, very simple, really great for table favours, all those sorts of things, Christmas tree gifts, if you use Christmas paper. So I have deliberately chosen a 6x6 paper that has a pattern that runs up and down rather than just being, so this one for example is an all over pattern, but this one runs up and down. So I've chosen one of the ones that runs up and down to show you how to do it correctly. Now I'm apologising in advance if the lighting is a bit odd. You wouldn't think it was 3:30 in the afternoon, but it is, and it's already getting dark. It's called Clocks Changing. So you get your 6x6 paper, obviously it could be 12x12 cut down, but perfect for 6x6 packs. And with the pattern running up, so if that's the top, so with the top to your right, score 1/2 inch all the way down. Then turn it so that your pattern is running up, so the top is at the top, and then score it at 1.5 and 4 1/4. Now these two, it's not so important if you get them that way up, but so the really important one is that one. Make sure you've got the pattern, the top of the pattern to your right when you score the left. As I say, the other two aren't quite so vital, but yeah. So then just fold your line, your score lines. Don't worry too much about burnishing because you don't want it flat, 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 because the coffee pack is not flat, flat, flat. Obviously other coffee sachets are available. Now, this is the only bit of the 1/2 inch. This is the only bit that you're going to keep. So you're going to just wedge in just a little bit at the bottom. And then these bits we're going to cut away with a very slight wedge. So very, very slight. So if I pop that on my grid paper so that it's straight there, you hopefully can see, she says famous last words, hopefully you can see that this is just very slightly wedged. And then do the same again on this side. Then tear and tape, and you need just 2 bits. So you're going to put one piece here, and I'm putting it slightly up from the bottom. I'm kind of putting it in the middle of that 1/2 inch flap. And then tear, and try not to tear your paper in the process. And then on the narrower of the two flaps, the wider one's going to go over first, so on the narrower one, on the inside, you run another piece of tear and tape, and this can be close to that edge, but preferably not over it. There we go. And again, just tear. And then just peel off the backing and fold the one which hasn't got sticky on it over, and just don't have it so that it's a bit proud. You don't want it flat, so it's not flat, flat, flat. And then peel the other piece off, and again just fold that over, and again you want to allow some of the shape to stay in, so it's naturally now bowing a bit, and that just helps take the sachet. If it was completely flat, it would just be a bit more of a battle. Right, so we then need to do some stamping. So I've got a piece of Whisper White and, oops, 3 stamps from the Coffee Cafe stamp set. This has been around for a couple of years now. It's brilliant if you're into coffee. It's got some really nice sentiments, and I'm using Happiness is a Cup of Coffee Shared with a Friend, which seemed appropriate. But there's also Life Happens, Coffee Helps, and Thanks a Latte. I'm taking my colour scheme from the paper. I'm using Pacific Point, Powder Pink and Shaded Spruce. And I started with the words because I think it's easier to put the words down and then put the coffee cup round it than the other way round. So ink up your stamp. I've got this on a D block, and then stamp that down. That's all we need that for. And Pacific Point. And again, just ink that up. And it's just 3 gentle taps, you don't need to push hard. And then because I've got the nice dark image already down, I can just hover over. I would say this is easier when you haven't got a camera in the way. Just saying. But there we are, nicely central. And again, we don't need that anymore. And then powder pink, powder pink, powder pink, and the lid. Now I am going to stamp this on the other side purely because I'm going to cut it off, because it's much easier because I'm using the magnetic base plate to cut the 2 bits apart so that you're not fighting magnets. Ask me how I know. When I was making the 3 I've already made, I was fighting magnets. So just cut that away and then bring in your magnetic base plate. I really must get out a new cutting mat. It does actually make a difference. If your cutting mat gets too crinkled and cut, it stops being quite such a sort of nice cut. Now this is where, because I've got it separate, I can have that exactly where it wants to be, and in fact I'll feed that through sideways. And then again, these do sometimes have a bit of a life of their own. Pop the top plate down. This, I would say, is much easier if you do it actually on your Big Shot and run it straight through, but to save lifting a Big Shot up and thwacking the camera with it. So there we go. That one pops out really easily. And then the lid. And multi-purpose liquid adhesive. Just a very small line across the top. And I tend to do a bit of a splodge and then spread the splodge. But it is very, 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 very small line. I hope you can see how small that line is. And then just pop the lid over that. And that's perfect. Right, now while that's drying, this is the 1/2-inch circle punch. Take your pouch, put the 1/2-inch circle in as far as it will go and as central as you can get it, just by eye, and punch. It will go through the 3 layers and the tear and tape. It's not a problem for it. And then just add some liquid adhesive to the back. Now I'm using this because I want the gifts to be flat, because they've got to be packed into my luggage because I'm flying to Orlando. If you are gifting this to someone who is kind of just with you, I would actually suggest that you stick it on with dimensionals and just stick them down this side so that it can bow a bit more. So yeah, just maybe 3 down each side. Then a piece of the pink shimmer ribbon, which matches the ink and is in the colours of the paper. So I've taken, as I said, I've taken the colours from the paper. I'm then going to break it, as in break the colours from the paper, because I'm using the... No, isn't that odd? I thought I'd done that so that they were... Oh well, I thought I'd cut them so that they were going in opposite directions, but that's fine. So I'm actually using the petal pink and white baker's twine, just because it's pretty and it doesn't clash. It's not actually the same pink, but it's fine. All I'm doing is tying the two ends of my ribbon together just in a little knot, and I just thought it would be nice to use this. I could have used just the white and silver, but I thought I would carry on with having some pink. So there we go, just in a knot, and then trim your ends, and that's it done. So these will be winging their way to Orlando. By the time you see this, these will have been gifted, because obviously I want to keep the surprise going. So I hope you found that interesting, enjoyable. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. As I say, it's really easy to adapt to other ideas. So you could use any sort of coffee, hot chocolate, anything really that comes in a sachet. You could use it for tea bags that come in paper packets. Just change the dimensions so that they are slightly wider. So this has ended up 2 3/4 by 5 1/2. The sachet is just under 2 1/2 by, with the end folded up, by 5. So just change the dimensions so that you've got an overlap at the back, and you're good to go with a different size. So thank you very much indeed. If you would like any of these products, please pop over to my online store. There's a link to that below or over on my website. There's also the host code for November, and this is very important during November, because if you shop with me in November, for every £30 you spend throughout the whole of November, whether that's in 1, 2, 3, 10 orders, for every £30 you spend, I'll add all the orders up, divide by 30. For every £30 you will get an entry to win a set of Many Marvellous markers. That's £112.75 in the catalogue, and because this is my birthday month, I am gifting it as a present to you. So one lucky customer will win the Many Marvellous markers, and I'll get those that drawn and boxed up and out early December so that it is with you before Christmas. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye!